filming on my own today. Fajitas. We're going to be making fajitas. Now, the amount of ingredients you'll need will change depending on how many people you're cooking for. I hope, hopefully you can see that in this video. Okay, so in order to have good fajitas, normally people have guacamole in their fajitas, but we're not going to have guacamole. Our family, my family, we prefer fajitas without guacamole. So we have for our fajitas chicken. We have the peppers. Today we have a red pepper and a yellow pepper, but normally we have a green pepper and a red pepper, but whichever one you prefer, just feel free to be imaginative. I have 1 onion, and I think that's going to be enough for about 3 people, but again, it depends on how many people you're cooking for. Okay. I also have the cheese to go into the fajita, whether you like it being warmed up in your fajita or just grated and then put on top into your fajita without melting the cheese. I prefer it just in the fajita without melting, but other people are very, very different. Obviously, it can't be a fajita without a fajita mix. Or the wraps themselves. I've got my soft brown tortillas rather than the white tortillas, I think, and if not, I will have a nice surprise. And you need soured cream, okay, just to kind of dollop it on the top and then wrap up your fajita. So I'm going to start by cutting up my ingredients. So when I start cutting up my chicken, I look for any horrible, nasty, fatty bits. But what I also do is I make sure to cut them into nice edible chunks. So it's nice and chewy in my fajita, but not too chewy. And then it's small enough so that people can actually get it into their fajita with a nice mixture of flavours. And they don't just get this massive slab of chicken. Absolutely no vegetables whatsoever. I cook the chicken first because it takes the longest to cook. And because this is not a spectator sport, guys, I'm going to switch off my camera until I get to the next bit, okay? Now I'm going to start off by cutting up my vegetables. Well, I haven't really started, have I? I've already cut up my chicken. I don't know whether any of you other visually impaired people do this, but what I tend to do is I tend to get an empty bowls. I know it increases your washing, but it's only because I'm actually videoing this as well, and I tend to take all of the bits off the vegetable that I don't want, and I put it into the bowl just to keep it off my chopping board before I then slide it into the frying pan normally. I don't know whether you guys do this, but I find it just decreases the amount of accidental bits of skin that you get in your food that isn't pleasant. So obviously with my onion, I am busy cutting it off and peeling it, and then I'm going to do my usual blindy check to make sure with my fingers that I haven't still got any bits of the papery skin left all over my board, because I don't like taking bits of skin out of my fajita. It's just not nice or edible. So here we go. Start cutting it up a little bit. So I have my frying pan on 4. I'm just adding a whole load of oil to get it nice and wet, and then I will be adding our fajita mix. Now, because my mum and I are not massively hot food lovers, I'm going to try and measure it out by weight in my hands, kind of like the packet I mean, and try and only have about like a third of it in. So I've still got a little bit in the packet because we just don't really like massively hot food. Now I'm hoping to God, maybe not to God, but I am hoping that it's actually in the frying pan and not all the way around the surface. That isn't my frying pan. So here we go. We'll see how it turns out. So it is now sizzling, okay? So my mixture of oil and fajita mix is sizzling. I'm gonna just bring you very close so that hopefully you can hear it. If not, never mind, I'm very sorry, right? So now when it's sizzling and as hot as it is, we add our meat into the frying pan. Sorry, I'm doing this very badly. I'm gonna try and do it without getting your hand, without getting too many splashes, okay? Even if you just put it into a big pile and then use your utensil to shugle it around so that it gets all of its sides nice and covered, that is kind of what you need. Now you can definitely hear it sizzling, can't you? Now we're going to wait till that cooks, because it has to be fully cooked. Now if you struggle to check if your chicken is cooked, I use Be My Eyes, and you can buy these talking temperature thermometers and put it into the meat. But to be honest, this meat is just so small that you'd be better off just using Be My Eyes or a sighted support worker, or just time it. Right then, as you can see, for those of you who can see, it is very well done, my chicken. I am now going to add the onions and the peppers, and then we're going to grate the cheese. And because I'm lazy, I use a food processor, okay? I have absolutely no shame in this fact, and it just makes life a lot easier. I mean, yes, I could grate it, even though I'm blind. I could quite easily grate cheese with a grater, but why do that when you've got a machine that can do it for you much better? So now I'm giving it a good mix and making sure it's nice and mixed. Because the thing about my veg, as I said before, I like my veggies nice and crunchy. So it doesn't take long for them to be cooked, but still slightly crunchy. I'm not sure whether they call it al dente or not, but hey, look that word up, it's interesting. So here's my cheese, and here is my food processor. I am going to take the two top bits off first. It says one, and there is, oh gosh, it's kind of hard to do this with only one hand, but I will get there. Yes, I will get there. Right, okay, now I'm going to put that in. I'm going to put the safety feature on there, and then all I have to do is I have to hold it down and click to the right. So I'm just going to let you hear it for now, because I want to do this with both hands. Okay, guys? Right, you can see the cheese now nicely grated in there, and that is ready for when I make up my fajita wrap. So I now have my fajita mix done. I have my cheese, I have my sour cream. Would have guacamole if I liked it in my fajita. And I've opened my packet of fajita wraps. I'm just gonna pick out one fajita wrap. I'm gonna put it on my plate and I'm gonna show you how I fold up my fajita. So here we go. Just going to take some nice fajita mix. You don't need a great deal, but it's nice to have, you know, a good mixture there. So, you know, I tend to just weigh it out in my mind. I'm probably overfilling this because I always do. Right, now, so I've got that there. Now I'm going to take a handful of cheese and I'm just going to sprinkle it on my fajita. Like that, some cheese. Now, I'm then gonna take a little spoon out the drawer, and I'm gonna add, well, maybe not a little spoon, I'm gonna have a big spoon. I'm gonna have a nice big chunky yummy, yummy sour cream. I'm going to take a lump of sour cream and I'm just going to put that over the top there and let it just settle into my mix. I'm just going to take a little bit more because I like a good spread of it, really. Spread it with the back of a spoon if you're feeling generous. Right, okay. Now I'm going to put that back in. There we go. Now, I take the bottom of my fajita, my little tortilla, and I fold it in up on itself. So you're creating like a little mouth bit at the top. I then take the right hand side and I fold that in on itself. And then I take the, left hand side and I fold that in on itself. And there we have it, my lovely, lovely, yummy, yummy fajita wrap. Hope you enjoy your food, guys.